This is Pod Populi.
Podcast for the people.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
The Great Love Debate. It's the Great Love Debate.
Hi again, everyone. It's Brian Howie. Welcome to the Great Love Debate, the world's #1 dating and relationship podcast. Since 2015, I am at the very fine studios of Pod Populi, podcast for the people. I am in the pre-dawn hours in the desert, Scottsdale, Arizona. I am running the controls myself, which I don't like to do. But I have some thoughts. So I have some pre-dawn thoughts here in the gloaming, as they say, as the sun comes up. And because I get asked thoughts on a lot of things. What are your thoughts on this? What do you think about this or that? And most particularly them. What do you think of them? And as I opined and I dove pretty deeply into a recent podcast, I think it was 2 or 3 podcasts ago, I don't think you can ever really give accurate thoughts about anyone's relationship because I don't think you ever have all the information and can understand the unique elements enough to say, oh, that's what's going on there. But I do think you can comment on aspects of a relationship or a world in which a relationship exists in sort of an abstract or a 5,000-foot view of it. So at the time we're recording this, not just the early dawn time, but the overall time, it's late fourth quarter 2023. And we will remind you again, if you are just listening to this in the first quarter of 2025, you have quite the homework assignment to catch up on because you have about 500 episodes of this show to listen to. So get at it. But as of this morning, and knowing her, this could change any minute, Taylor Swift, who we have touched on quite a bit on this show, from her music to her fandom to her relationships to, I think one show a couple years ago, we blamed her for the worst fashion trend of the last decade, the high-waisted look, the high-waisted pants, the high-waisted bikini. It's horrific. So I think we did an episode literally about that and the ramifications of that. But as of this morning, and as of this recording, she is in some sort of relationship with Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. So I don't want to talk about whether they like each other or if they are a fit for each other or even if they're really into each other. Because as I said a few episodes ago, I'm not sure they know, so there's no way we would know. But there are a couple elements at play here that I do have some thoughts on. Because I always have some thoughts, hence the show. 2 aspects of the 2 of them that interest me are the fame element and the distance element. So we'll get pretty deeply into the distance in a minute, but let's touch on the fame. Because it always puzzled me and fascinated me that 2 famous people would ever get together. 2 entourages, 2 sets of fans, 2 very big bank accounts, 2 egos, 2 public personas, 2 publicists, 2 managers, 2 agendas, and millions of eyeballs. Her fans, his fans, those eyeballs, that energy, all coming together on these 2 people. I think it just has to be impossible. People are looking at them. I'm recording about them. So, people are looking at them and saying, they're so different. It's amazing how they connected. I'm not sure they're so different. He has millions of adoring, mostly male fans. She has billions of adoring, mostly female fans. I imagine even the 2 of them trying to leave the house to go to dinner is just fraught with a million landmines. Do your people drive? How big is your entourage? Where can we go? Do we alert the press? Who pays? I mean, who pays when they grab a drink? It should be him, of course, early on. But what happens when they book a private jet? Is it her jet? I mean, he's crazy rich, but she is Oprah rich. So obviously 2 people with common professions. They're both ostensibly in the entertainment business. they should have some similarities that at least give the other person an understanding of what they have to deal with every single day. Ben Affleck, for the last, 2 decades, is and has been, as famous as it gets. And when he was married to Jennifer Garner, they were pretty similarly aligned on their career status, probably had some balance to it, started a family together, et cetera, et cetera. But now that he's with J-Lo, back with J-Lo, she's not just famous, she is a generational icon. She's just J-Lo. Is that emasculating for him? I mean, is it a relief for him that she's the one that everybody mostly cares about? I'm not asking those questions to give the answer. I'm asking the questions simply because they are questions that I think they have to deal with. That is so unique. So is it easier to have a Notting Hill type situation where one is hugely famous and one is not? I don't know. It has to be tough for a guy. Kelce certainly doesn't ever want to be referred to as Mr. Swift, because he's got the ego and he's got the fame and he's got the career that I don't think anybody would want to deal with that. But for her, is Taylor just a girl standing in front of a football star asking him to love her? Or is she always Taylor fucking Swift? Capital, bold, exclamation point. I suppose that's a question for them and for her, and I guess for us, because I'm bringing it up. I don't know if it's easier or harder for two people like that to get together. I just think it's fascinating. And I want to know those kinds of details. Does she wake up in the morning and check her social media? Does he? Supposedly, she, late night, is in the deep, deep recesses of Reddit, like wanting to know. And that's why she's so successful. She wants to understand her fandom. Does he think that's odd? Is he help her? Is he fascinated by her? Does she read them out loud to him? I don't know. Do they read the comments together? It's not better or worse than any other relationship, but it is most definitely different. It is hugely different. So I think everything has to be a conversation when two galaxies like that collide. So we wish them well, or at the very least, we will get some great music out of it in a few weeks or months when they break up and she writes a 15-minute tight end serenade, Taylor's version. But there's a second part of this, one that applies a lot more directly to me and you, the common folk. Somebody asked me the other day if I considered myself a celebrity, because we do have some fans and I do entertain publicly around the world. And I said, what is the commonly used lowest letter? And she said, D-list. So I said, add about 11 more letters. That's the level of fandom I swim in. P-list. I am a P-list celebrity. But I am here for you, all of you great love listeners. So we'll get into the second part of breaking this all down, the one that applies more directly to a lot of us. This is known as a tease. We will be right back after this. And we are back. So the part of this that I first thought about when the two started dating, I guess they're dating, whatever it is they're doing. And all of this might be over before this episode even hits your iPhone, so I don't know. But I thought of the logistics and, most importantly, the distance. And this relationship, when it got going, she was on a couple months break before she heads out on the second leg of her world tour. The longer leg, the more challenging leg, the international leg. Talk about distance. During the season, during the playoffs, she's gone. And she's gone from South America to Sweden. She's really far from Kansas City. And these tour stops are really far from the Super Bowl. And he already, as they started dating, has a job that requires a whole lot of travel too. All over the country. And when he doesn't travel, he's mostly in Kansas City for 6 to 8 months. It's not that close to Nashville. It's not that close to New York. It's not that close to Newport, Rhode Island. And I think I know way too much about Taylor Swift's real estate portfolio. but it's basically a long distance relationship right off the bat. So that's what I want to go a little deeper on. The likelihood and the logistics of a long distance relationship working out, regardless of levels of fame. So I think there's 4 parts to consider in a long distance relationship. I'm going to lay them out and break down each one. There's trust. There's communication. There's need. And there's practicality. So let's start with the last one first. Practicality. Someone who is stationed in Oslo dating someone stuck in Oregon. Sorry to use that term, but you're stuck in Oregon. It's a little bit different than, say, 2 people dating in Chicago and Charlotte. 2-hour flight. So you have to look at how long will you really go without seeing each other, and what are the challenges of getting to each other. In California, somebody who lives in Newport Beach and somebody who lives in Burbank, they think they're in a long-distance relationship because they're 50 miles away. That's not a long-distance relationship. 2 people who live a plane ride away, that's a long-distance relationship. And what are the challenges? Because even in a world with 2 people with 2 private jets, that is 2 bullseyes you are trying to hit, even if you see each other every other weekend. And if suddenly one thing precludes that, I've got a work conference, I can't see you that every other weekend, then you're a month without seeing each other, which is hopefully hard. You want that to be hard. But the bigger part of that is when and how. When you see each other on weekends only, or you meet in tropical locales, I think anybody can do that. It's always fun when your relationship is a bunch of Friday and Saturday nights and hooking up in hotels and dinners, and who wouldn't like that? And who couldn't do that? That's not a relationship, though. A relationship is together on Tuesday nights and Wednesday mornings, when you both have to work and get up early and maybe deal with kids and life and the realities and responsibilities that don't disappear just because you're at a fancy restaurant. How you interact and cope in the storm of the day-to-day, that is a relationship. So the distance is one thing, the how and when you see each other. If you aren't in that midweek maelstrom together, I don't think you're really dating. You're just seeing each other. And you're just seeing each other once in a while. So if you're just watching each other play football or perform concerts and then going to Nobu for sushi, that's not dating. You need to get into the muck together, the midweek muck. That's how you find out who they are. That's how you find out if they are for you. And that's how you find out what the 2 of you have. But moving on to the need part. How often, if you want to get into this, how often do you need to see them or hear from them or even think about them? I want to tell my girl I am thinking about her or miss her or find out what is going on with her pretty much hourly. I want to feel like we are together even when we are apart. And if you do that, and if you do that thoughtfully and honestly and consistently, I think you can actually feel closer to someone than if you're sitting side by side silently on a couch together. I think it's a real connection. Damn the distance. I think it is. You've heard me give my definition of love many, many times on this show. My definition for me. And I say that love for me is when there's nothing I'm doing that I wouldn't rather be doing with her. I don't have to do everything with her. It's just that I would rather. I'd rather share it with her. I'd rather experience with her. I'd rather it involve her. And if you have that and you express that and you communicate that, I think that goes a long way towards bridging a whole lot of distance. Because communication is the key. How? When? Is it phone? Is it FaceTime? Text? Email? Slide into each other's DMs? Is it the same every day? I think a lot of the good parts of a relationship are built on rituals and routine. Not the boring, but the knowing of each other. This is how we say good morning. this is when we say goodnight. I think that's as important as what you are saying. Not that it should be said out of habit, but this is an understanding of we are entering this day together, and we are calling it a night. This way, still together. I think it matters. You can't do a long-distance relationship when you're worried or wondering when you might hear from them. That's communication breakdown. That leads to the failure. That leads to the end. That's the onset of the anxiety. That's the worry and the what are we doing and how do they feel? You have to always let them know how you feel. Communication. And be confident enough to communicate what you're thinking, what you want, what you're needing, because without that, the trust breaks down. And you're wondering, why aren't I hearing from them? Are they mad? Is my phone not working? Are they missing me? And then it goes to who are they with? What are they doing? Where do they go? A lot different if you're in the same town or at least the same time zone. A lot easier. Because if you're not, you have to let them know. You can bridge so much distance if you just talk about what you need to get from them and out of it. You can spend a life together, at least for a long while, if the distance between you is one of miles and not one of emotions. And then I think you can make it work. And you can make it work if you do the work to figure out how to make it work. Not just circling dates in your calendar of when you can get together again. There are 100 days to be together and 100 ways to feel together. Even if you aren't entirely sure when the next trip will be. Even if you have to find a way to merge to one city full time, I think you could do long distance for a long time, but probably not a lifetime. But in the meantime, that was very alliterative. You got to share more than your schedules and your flight plans. Share your needs. Share your thoughts. Share your feelings. Share your life. And then get to a point where you, in your Pro Bowl trophies and your Grammy Awards, can share the same shelf. I think those are the steps to doing it. I wish them well. I wish you well. And we shared this on the last show, the big news, our big 10th anniversary show, gala, extravaganza. 10th anniversary of our first live show ever. It is coming up February 6th. Yes, our live tour rolls on because we don't want to have a long-distance relationship with you. We are coming back February 6th at the Boca Black Box Center for the Arts in beautiful Boca Raton, Florida. Those tickets are on sale now at both the BocaBlackBox.com, GreatLoveDebate.com. Please shoot us an email, GreatLoveDebate@gmail.com, if you have thoughts on distance or how to do it or how to do it better, or you want to wish Taylor and Travis well. Like, share, follow. Please review this podcast because to this day, 10 years in, your reviews mean a lot in the podcasting ecosystem because, as always, at The Great Love Debate, we never stop making love. See you next time.